Welcome to my podcasts called Discover Your Power, where you will learn how to release limiting beliefs, create abundance, and manifest the life you deserve and that truly works for you. My name is Jania Aebi, Transformational Healer, author, and coach. There is so much more joy, health, wealth, and success available to you when you get a true perspective on how life really works. I want you to have what you deeply desire, and these podcasts will help you find your truth, unlock your potential, and empower your life. Recently, I've become very conscious of how much we're putting our life on hold, waiting for something to happen before we can give ourselves permission to do what we really want to do. Even if we know what we want, which is not often, because mostly we know very, very well what we don't want. And that's why what we don't want seems to be always here, because the law of attraction works at the relative, manifested level of existence. What you think about, talk about, and hold in your consciousness gets magnified, gathers up life force, becomes solidified, and manifests as the things we see in the world, in our life, and in our bodies. When our focus is mostly on what's missing, lacking, and what we don't want, that's what manifests. We humans are automatically drawn into drama, and that's what's impacting our consciousness most. When we watch TV, we pay attention to the disasters we are shown in various parts of the world, and we let ourselves dwell on that. That's what we will talk to our friends about, rather than telling of someone who went to Africa to dig a well for a remote village miles away from a river, or of a company in India that gives training to older widows so they can earn their living and not be dependent on their families, who often reject them as useless. We have to become conscious of where we habitually place our attention, and when it's not in a place that feels good, that feels uplifting, that makes us happy, look at why do we do that. Why do we consciously place our attention on events or things that make us scared, fearful, maybe even horrified, and that most times we can do strictly nothing about? You will say, I want to be informed of what's happening. And yes, that's legitimate. It's good to be informed. But once we know, and usually we're not in a position to remedy the situation or assist in any way. So why do we let it poison our lives? Why do we keep talking about it instead of sending a silent blessing to the people and the situation? A blessing of peace, a blessing of health, of safety and security, of having food and shelter and clean water. And if you do that, just notice how much more at peace you feel. Your fear has abated. You know you've helped the situation because you've radiated a positive energy into the negativity, and it must have some effect, because you've contributed to making the positive aspect greater. Instead of staying in fear, animosity, or indignation about the situation, you are energetically doing something in the moment to improve things. And we all know energy is at the basis of everything. Everyone is meant to have the very best life can offer, because spirit or energy, which is love in all its various aspects, has embodied as us, and as everything we see, to manifest more of itself in different ways. So there are as many ways to live a great life as there are people on the planet. because energy or spirit are infinite and can manifest in infinite ways. You can apply the principle that energy is the root cause of everything to your own life. Whenever you find you're waiting for a person, a job, a situation to change before you move forward, there is always something you can do right now. Because right now is the only moment you ever have to do anything. And if not now, then when? Because something will always be standing in the way of our desires, especially when we don't have a really clear vision of what we want in life, and live reacting to what's happening around us, not focused, not making time for what is most important, and that is having the greatest life we can imagine. A vision bigger than your present life is a necessity for every human being. A vision beyond just making enough money, or finding the ideal partner, or having a beautiful home, an expensive car, or a private jet. While those are beautiful, and there is nothing wrong with having them, you will never be truly and permanently happy with just bigger and better things all the time. As it says in the scriptures, without a vision, the people perish. Everyone must contribute to the well-being of the whole, whether it's a family, community, environment, nation, or the world, in a way that makes them feel joyful, expanded, and energized. Some people want to paint, to play music, beautify their yards, become politicians working for the good of nations. You may want to write books or build computers, or invent things, or compile statistics, or be a geologist. It's not what you do that matters. It's how you do it. What will make you fulfilled is the deeper intention behind your activity, to be of service to everyone, including yourself, rather than service to self only. Whatever the context is, the only thing that can stop you is you. Not your partner, not your kids, not the economy, not a lack of money, lack of education, or lack of anything. If you're not going for what you want in life, first energetically, through thought and feeling, which leads to doing things physically, then you're not fulfilling the purpose you were put here for. And little by little, your faculties diminish, your energy diminishes, your life force gets less and less, and you stagnate and die. Maybe not literally, but metaphorically. And of course, we will all die at some point. But it doesn't have to be through illness, disease, or diminishment of our physical bodies. It can also be through completing the reasons for our incarnation this time around. Having given the gifts we wanted to bring to the world through our music, artistry, inventiveness, political acumen, cooking skills, flying planes, or whatever else really excites us, and dying in full health in order to move to the next level of expressing the spirit within us. It's like moving into the next season of our infinite life. The spirit has shed its heavy winter overcoat that was perfect for the winter season and will now put on a lighter jacket of a different texture, different color, different form, in order to have all kinds of different experiences in a different spring environment. And when spring is done, move on to summer, and then to the fruits of the fall, and rest for a while in winter again, before moving up the spiral once more. To live a happy life, let us enjoy the season we are in right now as a human being and try to glimpse how spirit sees its own wholeness, goodness, and completeness as you. That underlines all the judgments of not good enough, a failure, and a loser we have piled up on top of our spiritual perfection. Let's have a vision that goes beyond the human trials and tribulations and see with the eyes of spirit. And God, spirit, only sees its own creation, which is spiritual, infinite, and eternal good, whatever else we choose to call it. To spirit, it's peace, joy, harmony, wisdom, happiness, or prosperity. And at the root of every one of these qualities, there is love, just expressing as all those various aspects. Just as the oneness of spirit is manifesting as every form we see around us, including ourselves. We are the forms which God or energy is animating and letting us choose the ways in which to express the wholeness of that energy. Nature, which is also expressing divinity, can't choose how to do that. A pine tree can't decide to grow acorns or apples, and grass can't decide to bloom like roses do. Nature must follow the natural laws and express what every species is meant to express, so that the whole ecosystem remains healthy. Only humans can choose whether to follow the natural laws which results in good for the whole ecosystem, or violate them, creating all the problems and misery we're experiencing. The problems we face are not personal at their core. They are universal, with our individual twist on them. They can be equated with a lack of love, and if source is love, which it is, it means we have become separate from source or love. And since we have subdivided love into many aspects, our problems have many aspects too. But their root is the same, and the solution is the same. Reconnection to love and to the natural laws of oneness, not separation. Cooperation, not competition. Love, not hate and fear. There are only a dozen or so problems in life which touch everyone, showing that your problems are not personal, but universal. They are not unique to you, even if you have your personal angle of them. But at their root, they are the same. You were born into a world of limitation created by human consciousness, and it sounds like this. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough support. I don't have enough money. My health is bad. What if it doesn't work? I've tried so many things. I'm just so confused. In other words, we could say, I'm unworthy, unclear, inadequate, sick, poor, have no self-esteem, no confidence, and nobody appreciates me. And notice where all of these complaints are situated. Always squarely in the visible, physical, temporal space that's always changing, and which has emerged from the invisible, spiritual, and infinite realm that never changes and is eternal perfection. We are always identifying with the body, which includes mind and emotions, and it's our focus on problems that keeps them in place. Because problems only exist in the physical realm, and we can choose to put our focus on the spiritual realm. Free choice of where to focus our attention is our birthright. But through ignorance, laziness, unconsciousness, or the example of everyone around us, we focus it on all the things that don't serve us. And I'm not saying we should disregard problems, not attempt to solve them or live as if they didn't exist. Not at all. But what I am saying is to expand your focus to both sides of the coin and look at where the problem actually is. Is it outside of you, in that person who did what they did or said what they said, and you were upset? Or in that situation which seemed fearful? Or on the contrary, is it some pattern in you that you created because of some event experienced in your childhood that carried a similar energy that was never resolved and now is getting triggered? Notice that the person standing next to you and also seeing what was being said or done is not fearful or upset, but just laughs it off. It's not important. So obviously, the problem is in you, and you've now become conscious of it, so can start resolving it. Usually, when something occurs and we're triggered by it, it's not what happens that is causing the fear, anger, or upset we're feeling. These feelings were in us already, probably since we were children and unable to process them at that time. To a child, it was scary, unsafe, and maybe even dangerous. Now we are adults and able to resolve those feelings, which we couldn't as children. That's why they're triggered and coming up, to be cleared out of our system. So we must consciously look at that feeling being stirred up and think back to when was the earliest time when we felt that feeling of being powerless, not appreciated, incapable, not heard, not validated. And most times, something will come to mind. When your father didn't take you out for ice cream as he promised, or your mother told you not to be selfish and let your younger sibling have that toy. Now, we have an expanded awareness and can perceive the present situation differently. Because we don't normally see things as they actually are, we see them through the filters we created as children, because of the painful experiences we had and had to make sense of a physical world so different from the spiritual one we came from. We had to have the love and support we needed to survive here, so we interpret it and put meanings on what was happening, not always the true meaning. Really, events in and of themselves don't have any meaning, except the one we give to them. And what an event means to one person is never exactly the same as what it means to another, even though it may be somewhat similar. Because we're all different, brought up in different families, different environments, different cultures. Imagine you are on a sidewalk near a puddle on the road, and a car goes by, splashing you with mud. You get back home really annoyed and tell your partner, "I was just walking along minding my own business, and the car came speeding down the road and splashed me with mud. Just look at my pants." What you just did is link cause and effect, and it got you really annoyed and blaming the driver. But you could have just considered the facts separately from each other. I was walking. A car was driving through a puddle. My pants are muddy. So I have a job of cleaning to do. That's life. Where there is no blame, the upset is minimal if there at all. After all, we all have cleaning to do at intervals, and it doesn't get us upset. To live happier lives, we could start by eliminating blame and judgment altogether. Because it's our judgment of what's appearing that makes it good or bad, when in actual fact, everything just is. Rain just is. It becomes bad when it ruins your Sunday suit. It becomes good when it washes your car or waters your garden. Sunshine just is. It becomes bad when you're in the Sahara with no water. It becomes good when it causes seeds to grow in its warmth. Energy just is and is one and the same everywhere. If you judge any part of energy as bad, you're judging all energy, and then it can't work for you. We need to look beyond appearances of good and bad to start discerning the ultimate oneness and perfection of unmanifested energy. How that pure, perfect energy is used by you and me and every other person is a whole different thing, and it is our responsibility as beings made in the image and likeness of God to use it only as God would. We are God's eyes and ears and hands and feet in this world, and it will only ever get better through every one of us using energy to spread love, blessing, compassion, cooperation, and gratitude for all we have and all we have received. If you want to know whose job it is to make the world better, look in the mirror. But we can only make the world better by making our personality better. We are all responsible for the state the world is in varying degrees, of course. But have we not all, at some point, been angry, arrogant, abusive, greedy, at war with someone or something, and a lot of the time at war with ourselves? Abusive to ourselves, when deep down we know we are an expression of divinity. How often have we said to ourselves, "How stupid can you be? You should have known better," or words to that effect, instead of just being patient with yourself and saying, "You've made a mistake, but I love you, and next time we will do better, you and I. We've learned something, and we move on, more aware of how life really works." With that kind of mindset, you can keep moving forward without blaming yourself or anyone else, acknowledging a mistake, but taking action to make things better. And at the same time, lifting your consciousness to where the real you is situated, the divine aspect, which sees the invisible part of life when nothing is ever wrong, because it all serves the evolution of the personality in becoming more like Spirit already is. I trust this has been valuable and helpful. Do you want to know more? Then check out my website, www.janiaaebi.com, where you can find much free material. Don't miss any of these episodes by subscribing to this channel. And thank you for your willingness to explore more of the abundance life has to offer you. I love you, and will speak to you again soon.